Well, GFRS engages since many years in the anti-fraud initiative. This initiative exists since 2007, and well, our experience is that originating from many international meetings, many national meetings, that fraud prevention, for a solid fraud prevention, the competence of operators, of organic inspectors, of the assessors, of the accreditation bodies is the key. And there's also a second key, and the second key is the environment all these people work in. So it's not only the competence, it's really also about directions, it is about competition. I've only short time, I would say, coming back to the operators, we have a solid international problem with competence of operators. We have a clear requirement under ISO 17065, which says everybody must have understood the standards and must apply them in practice. And this is laid down in an internationally globally used international standard. So unfortunately, we still see a little bit somewhere and here incompetent operators. So I think it's not properly applied. For the inspectors, as Jennifer said, we require competent inspectors. And these inspectors must be able in critical situations also to apply technological instruments, which we will get to know here in this session. And these instruments must be combinable according to the specific situation. So there is no universal solution. There is not a situation where you can standardize and say a full bookkeeping review is required in 100% of all operators, and there's also not a requirement, well, in 110% of cases we must calculate the mass balance. It depends on the certain situation, on the context, and what the inspection is for. And the third element are the competent assessors, the evaluators, the supervisors, moving out and, well, looking to the situation on the ground, evaluating the inspectors. And if these guys only refer to formalities and not to contents, then we have a problem.
We've come over the many years now to understand that not all operators are the same. They're different in structure, they're different in importance in the supply chain, complexity, multiple sites, different field locations and so forth. Some are global, some are local, long, short supply chains. So fine, we've got used to that now, and assessing risk, and more importantly, responding to that is absolutely key. And I think many certifiers in the room, inspectors, assessors will understand that very well. It's something we've become much more understanding over the 20, 30 years that we've been doing this sort of business altogether. Even now we started talking about country risk, not just a level of operator. And most CVs certainly will implement some sort of risk-based approaches, although I must admit, in my opinion, there's quite a lot of variation still in how we do that and how it's implemented. So risk at the level of the certifier is much less discussed, in fact. And some ABs and authorities, we've just been having some conversations today about this with other authorities. So we've been doing the looking at what comes into assessing a CV risk level and what we can do about that. So we've been doing that for some years now, but we're still fine-tuning how that really works. A risk factor which Jochen just mentioned there is the one in the middle here, the sort of what we call motivation, which might come from profit and growth on the far side, and perhaps integrity, reputation on the other side. Somewhere along that line is where both operators may be, but also where CVs may be, in fact. So we've got to recognize that. It's the whole business approach, business policy. Are you here to expand and grow, or are you here to protect integrity? is key to how, for example, how an assessor might work, and also how a certifier might work, and how a producer might work. To ensure better focus on the poor performers, which is what we want to do, we do need to be able to identify them. And more importantly, we need to upgrade the competence, as Jochen says, and approach of assessment, our assessment, other AB's assessment, to a more, what we've got at the bottom here, this sort of performance or outcome based. So in the past, we've, as Jenny was alluding to, perhaps we've gone a same for all type of approach. Everyone's equal. We just do an annual inspection on our assessment. Rather inflexible in the approach we've taken. We create more rules because we think that must be better than having fewer. And we try and train our inspectors or assessors. What we're thinking about trying to do is obviously much more risk-based, as we've been talking about. Make ourselves much more flexible in how we approach this. Use our common sense. One of my colleagues always says, use your common sense. It's very basic stuff. If you want to go down a certain rabbit hole to identify something or clarify something, then you must do it and feel empowered to do it. Be more intelligent with how we approach this in all sorts of ways. So, not only should CVs and our assessment of CVs be ensuring that they meet the requirements for certification, but they should be achieving the desired outcome, and hence the word here. So what are we trying to do here? It is the outcome, ultimately, that we want to deliver. So when a CV tells us, for example, that they have no high-risk operators, we've heard that before, the AB or authority should at the very least ask more questions. Well, how can that be when everyone else has some high-risk operators? When a CV never raises any non-compliances against operators, we've seen that too sometimes, or in their own internal audits even, we should really do the same. Why can that be? How is that possible? When all samples taken by the CV are negative, we should question that too. How is that really possible? Is perhaps their sampling policy and procedure effective? So this is where the need to understand the CV management also, and direction policy, business policy comes in. It really has a key influence on how personnel work and their overall performance. And we as assessors and authorities need to consider its effect on the overall outcome, which ultimately is the integrity of organic claims. So what we're trying to say here is it's not just compliance, it's performance, it's outcome is what we're trying to deliver. We must start thinking about that much more. The way we write rules and regulations must take that into account. What are we trying to achieve? So the competence and motivation of operators, certifiers and ABs and authorities is key, and we must make a shift towards assessing our performance, their performance, and work on that basis. It's not just about compliance. Thank you very much.